Anyone who has watched more than one of my videos knows that I criticize Jagex a lot. Like a lot. At this point I'm basically the obsessive ex-boyfriend who just can't get over the hot chick I used to date called Jagex, and instead of coping it with like a normal human being and letting it finally go, I keep trashing them more and more in the hopes that will change anything, even though deep down I know that it's about as useful as drinking diet water. I'm sorry, that got way too personal. In any case, today is not that day. Today I'm gonna praise Jagex. Wow, is that even possible? Jagex, a good company? Well, okay, not really, but the people in it are awesome. You see, Jagex gives their developers 2 weeks every year to come up with passion projects, to get more creative not only for those 2 weeks, but also to put out better content in the future as well. This is absolutely amazing idea. Every company should give their workers something like this, because as a content creator myself, nothing feels better than to let those juices flow to create new awesome projects from zero. And Jagex developers have created a lot of new projects or extended old ones. So let's go over some of the best ones and see what might come to Oldschool Runescape in the near future. Let's start with Wilderness expansion. Now, before I start blabbering for the next 8 minutes about new, cool updates coming to Wilderness, I will preface this. None of these updates are really gonna fix the fact that some players simply do not want to go to the Wilderness, no matter how tempting or good the updates are. So you could make an argument that putting endgame content to a place that is so off-putting for half of the players is not a great idea. That being said, these are at the end of the day just ideas, that's it. So they could be in the future moved away from the Wilderness where everyone can enjoy them, or not be released at all. So I'm gonna stop you right here because I already know you're furiously typing under my video comment section saying, "God damn it, Jagex trying to drag me into Wildy again to do content," shaking my head. I'm gonna stop you right there. We all know, relax. And with that, let's get started. This was introduced on the first iteration of Gamejam and now basically expanded to a full game update that is honestly the size of a raid. It has about 6 or 7 different bosses, new training areas, new zones, new quests, new skilling methods. It has everything. So let's go over all of them. Firstly, let's talk about the extended area to the Wilderness. Behind the major arena is gonna be a new territory that is free from the shackles of combat levels. Anyone can attack anyone. A level 3 is gonna be one-shotted by a level 126. With the new area comes multitude of new skilling resources. At the first iteration there was some thoughts about adding a new SKALL impling that only appears in the Wildy, and a new area for woodcutting in Stalker, where you also find a new boss called Root Tent, a new city in the Wilderness that is the only safe spot for players, and most importantly, we can get this. I call it the Uwu shark. This is stupid. Okay, let's move on to the bosses. Firstly, we have TREEROT, a medium level difficulty boss that you can find at the end of the Wilderness. After cutting down a handful of logs in Stalker, a TREEROT will spawn. The boss is similar level to Sarachnis right now, which means mostly meant for mid-level players. This is a multi-combat zone, and the TREEROT will drop a new potion recipe that is somehow related to PvP. A new perk that will allow you to fletch a new bow and arrows, and the special attack of that bow works similar to Entangle spell. So essentially you have a free spell on ranged weapons now. Then it can drop a prayer scroll that needs 90 prayer to use, and if the prayer gets activated it drains a certain amount of HP from your character and increases your damage. And lastly, it drops a new attachable axe scroll that has a lower chance for trees not to deplete. Next up we have a new boss called SKALL. The story goes that the Fremmeniks would travel to the end of the Wilderness, so a lot of dead bodies because they went there right after the war between Samarokian and Soros warriors ended. So they were like, you know what, we don't follow your religion, we're just Ooga Booga Fremmeniks, but we're still gonna respectfully bury you. And so they did. They buried all the bodies into one mass grave. Don't ask, the lore is still work in progress. Anyways, they bury all of the bodies into the graveyard of Sorg, that is a island next to their own town, and the energy between the Saros and Sami spirits was so powerful that SKALL was born out of it. Now the townsfolk basically are like, we did an oopsie doopsie, can you help us out, traveler? And of course you're gonna help them out because it drops a lot of GP. So what does SKALL drop exactly? Well, firstly we have two-handed power for crush weapon. Kinda similar to the one you get from Giant's Foundry, the difference is the special attack. Once you do a successful hit, it drains both you and your opponent's prayer points by 75%, and it also stacks with Smite. Next up we have Necronomicon, a offhand book that grants you 20% boost in accuracy and damage with spells against undead creatures, and this stacks with Imbued Salve Amulet as well. Just for comparison, Grumble Undead spell requires 39 magic and hits 15. With this book and the Salve Amulet, the max hit goes up to 22. Yeah, you can hit 22s with 39 magic now. Among other drops are a new scroll that allows you to summon better versions of trolls, new boots that allow you to restore prayer points every time you kill an NPC, and my favorite part, Drowned Binder Scroll that you can bring back to the city, and with the scroll you can break down all the Dagonut King rings and the Wilderness rings to create more powerful rings that are gonna be best in slots. Along with those ideas were many more suggested by the players that I think some are good and some are just way too overpowered, but that's the beauty of work in progress, you can pick out what you like and then go with that. Okay, next up we have my favorite boss and probably a pain in the butt to balance boss, but we're still gonna go over it. The World boss. Okay, I made that sound way too dramatic, but here's the gist. It has 60,000 HP. It is absolutely massive and it spawns at different locations in the Wildy. The location and the world will be announced in the chat beforehand, and you need teamwork to take this down, otherwise you will just die. Imagine Gorp Beast has 2000 HP and you need a team to take that down. This time it's 60,000. How the loot for this boss works is that a chest will appear in Ferox Enclave after the boss has died, and everyone who participated in killing it will receive a reward in that chest. The more you contributed to damaging it, the better reward you get. First idea for rewards was to bring back the legendary Vesta, Stadius, Morrigan and Suriel armors. The other thing they wanted to do was bring back Brawling Claws. Now if you have been playing this game for a while now, you know how OP these gloves are. They give 4 times the experience in Wilderness than what you normally get. Agility went from getting 50,000 experience an hour to 2,000 experience an hour. People were cooking in Mage Arena Bank and got over 1 million cooking experience in an hour. It was mental. So these are definitely questionable rewards, but honestly, I would love to see that. That sounds awesome. Okay, next up we have an upgrade to Elder Maul, a weapon that was supposed to be this powerful, crush, monstrosity, but now nobody really uses it. The buff, however, gives it even better stats and adds a special attack that basically ignores protection from melee prayer. And lastly, we have even better spices that either restore your stats or boost them, but they can only be used in the Wilderness. Okay, we have 3 more bosses to go. Firstly, Bolfrag. I'm just gonna call it Baldy. Baldy is gonna be located in dungeon north of Ferox Enclave. You need to combine 3 pieces of broken ancient symbols that you get only through Wildy's lair, and that will give you access to Baldy's lair, which is a safe zone. This is pretty similar to Skotizo, but the Wilderness version of it. It drops another 2-handed sword that has a similar effect to Dragon 2-handed sword with AoE special attack, and you can get an upgrade to Archlight from him that boosts the weapon even further. And the last reward is a special device that allows you to get new Wilderness Lair tasks from anywhere in the map. It's a very simple concept for a boss, and I kinda dig it. Next up, we don't really have a boss, but rather a mechanic. After completing Wildy Heart Diary, you have an option to start collecting Icene tears in the Wilderness. After you collected certain amount of tears, you can turn those tears into powerful buff while you are in the Wilderness. The buff gives you boosted PVM drops for 40 minutes, it gives you more damage and sustain, and generally makes you more tankier against other PKers. The buff lasts until you either die or enter a safe area. This is intended to be an anti-PKing way for people to enjoy Wilderness content, and while you have this buff activated, you cannot pick up loot from other players. In my opinion, this could be either the best or the worst update ever. There's no in between. It needs careful balancing so both sides of the coin don't feel outweighed, but imagine having damage boost, having Blood Fury effect, boosted drops more tankier, it's just chef's kiss. By the way, I'm now starting to realize these ideas could be so fun for leagues. Imagine getting this PVM boost in leagues, imagine these new bosses in leagues to test out. I think that would be really dope. But let's move on to the final and last boss, Vulcu. Now, Vulcu is gonna be as hard as hard mode Versik in Theater of Blood raids, so it's definitely an endgame boss, but you will get rewarded accordingly. It's a multi-wilderness boss, and to enter the lair, you need a key, but you can't enter the area while you're in a fight, so it's kinda like Scorpia on steroids. I think this boss, out of all that I've talked about, has one of the greatest rewards so far. Firstly, Vulcan's Scepter, another crush weapon. You can charge the weapon with lava and chaos runes, and attacking with this weapon applies burn to your opponent, which works like a poison, but anti-fire potion will remove the burn. Next up, Vulcan's Bow. You can now upgrade your Dark Bow to a better version of that bow, and according to Maud Sofan herself, it does now pew pew better, and also applies a burn. And the same can be done with Dragonfire Shield with Deathfire Visage drop. It's an upgraded version of the Dragonfire Shield with better stats, and you have to combine the new Visage with the existing shield. Then we have Lava Visage that you can attach to Serpentine Helm, and not only does it now protect you from Venom, it also protects you from Dragonfire Breath, the same way Anti-Dragon's Shield does. And lastly, you can now upgrade your Dragon Hunter Crossbow to two-handed weapon that shoots javelins instead of bolts, and the downside is that you lose your shield slot, which is oftentimes necessary against dragons, but you make up for it with the damage. And that is it with Wilderness. Now again, I will say that these are just ideas. They could come to Wilderness, they could not come to Wilderness. They could not come at all, we don't know that, but I will say that Jagex has been talking about expanding Wilderness years now, and it's about damn time we get something new, whether you like it or not. There are some other small update ideas as well, like adding corrupted revenants near the lava maze, adding a new NPC that allows you to get new item called Safe Pouch, which works similar to Looting Bag, but when you die you keep up to 6 items now, plus the 3 items you would normally keep. They have ideas to extend current agility cores, and that allows people that have over 75 agility to earn better experience rates for agility. And lastly, they added this. Now, I wish I could explain what this was, but honestly, I've been looking at it for 5 minutes and I still don't know if it's a very funny joke or Maud Sofan has gone mad. It's a rat riding another rat and it's wearing DDS. I guess it's like a definition of a BKer. If that's the case, I would say fair play. It's supposed to be introduction to BKing through a quest, and the square rat is supposed to be the so-called final boss that has mechanics similar to what a novice BKer would have, and you can fight it forever to learn new mechanics. But the only question I have is, can I bring my cat to BK for me? Why is it a rat? Why is it wearing Dragon Square Shield as a backpack? Go ahead, DDS me rats. Oh my god. Maud Sofan, you have twisted mind and I love it. Okay, and that includes everything with the Wilderness. Now let's move away from that abandoned wasteland and to better news. Kingdom management. You probably done miscellaneous management at least once in your life, and then 3 months later realized, wait, I had that going, but I completely forgot about it. And unless you're an Iron Man, it's not very interactive anymore. Well, Mod West wants to upgrade that, and even though the name is work in progress, it's called Fremmenik Port Manager 2000. I already love it. What you do is through interface recruit your own crew, you build boats with your own supplies and send them on missions. If those missions are successful, they will return with a massive yield in gold, logs, fish, or an even more loot. You can focus on PVM element of your boats, you can hire crew that specializes in resource management, you choose what you want. The rare rewards could be cosmetic ornament kits, discovering new lands with better resources, and so on. This is what sailing was supposed to be when Jagex pitched it to us. Jagex announced it as a skill a few years ago and it failed the ball, only getting 68% yes votes out of the 75 needed. But honestly, I think it would work so much better as a minigame. I think it could be a lot of fun to build your own crew and send them on missions. Maybe they get lost on the sea and you have to send out backup crew to go save them. Maybe they get eaten by sea monsters like Kraken. Maybe you get really lucky and snipe some extra rare loot. It's an awesome idea, and if anything ever comes out of Gamejam, I wish this was one of those things. Next up we have RuneScape Gwent. It's a trading card game, like Hearthstone, like Magic the Gathering, like Pokemon, But it's RuneScape. Modsarni has been working on this as a passion project for a long time, and bear in mind the pictures you're about to see are an early concept, so don't think these are gonna be in-game. The game works like a distraction and diversion to your regular game content, so if you're tired of the main game or just wanna add something, for instance while you're doing a Slayer task or training woodcutting, you can play this card game while you do those things. So let's say you're on a Slayer task, and while you do that you wanna play this card game as well. It's very easy to learn, but it's hard to master. It has multiple tech combinations and it's literally available to everyone, no matter if you're free to play or play to pay. How it works is basically you have 2 people fighting it out on each side, and you have 4 actions per round. With those actions you can either equip items, you can attack your opponent, you can use utility items, and so on. Then after each player has used up their actions, there is a SKALL phase where each player gets either buffs or debuffs to their characters. There are some cool combinations you can do, different events that can happen, and you can finally prove your friends that you are better than them. It's a very cool side project that you can do while you play the actual game, and it looks fun as heck. Props to Modsarni for coming up with this idea. And lastly, we have Hairstyles. Firstly, there's gonna be a brand new interface where you can go through all sorts of new hairstyles and test them out. Secondly, it's all free now. And thirdly, there's about 20 new hairstyles that might come to Oldschool Runescape very soon. There's gonna be 2 NPCs located next to Varrock Museum, and they can also provide you with hats and accessories for perfect fashionscape. Look, we can now have cowboy hats, yay! And that is pretty much it. There were a few other ideas like upgrading the interface for combat achievements and achievement tires that Mod Kirby was doing, and we got this cool redesign of Torma armor that Mod Sofon has been working on. Bless her soul, that looks so sexy. And this is it. What do you think about all of these updates? I would love to know your thoughts on this. Let me know in the comments. And last update, I will be making a new video very soon, and I want you, yes, I want you to be in it. The only requirement is that you have a decent working microphone and you're a great person to hang around. We're gonna have one-on-one conversation, and I'm gonna ask you a few questions about Oldschool Runescape in general. So if you wanna be in a video, join the Discord link below and I will fit you in. But for now, I thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in a few days with another video. Love you so much. Bye. Mwah.